9 o'clock, and as you jump in, please do feel free to say where you are from. At some point, if not now, in the future, we will see the comments. My main thing is just to do a little bit of a cooking class here tonight, and for all of us to hang out and be vegan and have fun together. And even if you're not vegan, at least just to kind of get a little taste of what eating more fruits and vegetables and whole foods and whole grains is actually like, because even if you're not vegan, it still is a good thing, right? Just to eat a few more fruits and vegetables, just saying. All right, it is 9 o'clock, top of the hour. Welcome, everybody. I am Ellen Jaffe Jones. I am the veg coach and the broccoli rep. I am also the author of 3 books back there: Eat Vegan on $4 a Day, Kitchen Divided, and Paleo Vegan. And I'm also one of 15 contributors to Running, Eating, and Thinking, a vegan anthology. And it's all written by vegan runners. We donated our time and our writing to that book, and the proceeds are going to charity. Okay, so I am a certified personal trainer as well as a certified running coach, and I am a crazy runner. I have placed in 84 5K races for my age group since 2006, just on plants. And this past weekend, I did my 8th half marathon. It was the Sarasota half marathon, and got this really obnoxious, big, blingy, probably the heaviest and biggest medal just for finishing. But I do that because I run around and do these races in vegan shirts, and so I try and get the word out there that, oh, I'm seeing some comments. Oh, yes, yay. I guess we can just comment in questions in this area. Yes, I'm from California, not vegan yet, but that's why I'm here. Okay, awesome. Oh, this is like so exciting. I can see the comments. And I think we are operating on a 2-minute delay, so if I take a little while to respond to your comment, that is why. So it actually, I'm seeing it live, but you may not be seeing it exactly live. I don't know. I don't even begin to understand this technology. It's amazing that it all works. And the reason I am doing these live cooking classes is about a month ago, I happened to be at my dentist's office and glanced up while, I got all this stuff in your mouth. And the Food Network had an alleged chef who was spending 30 minutes talking about the wonders of deep frying green beans in bacon grease. And I thought, if this is what we've come to, and I have a friend down in Miami who's been trying to get me a cooking show on CNN and various places like that, and if this is who I've lost out to, I figure I'm going to YouTube, and I am going to cook until my dying days every single recipe from one of my books, and just going to keep putting it out there and showing how you can do all this crazy running and feel full of energy and do it just on a plant-based diet. My husband and I had to go to the bank today. Now, just we're giving a few more minutes for people to get in here on the call. And the woman who was helping us hadn't seen me in a while. She said, "Oh, you got your hair cut." And I go, "Yeah, it's getting hot, and I'm running," and I just decided to chop it all off again, as I occasionally do. And she said, "I didn't realize you had such thick hair. When it was long, I would pull it back in a ponytail and probably came into the bank all full of sweat and everything." And she goes, "I didn't realize how healthy it looks." And I just wanted to say it's because we eat all these fruits and vegetables, and it's the best kept secret in America because most doctors don't get a single nutrition class in medical school. So I began this journey about 35 years ago. Mom and both sisters had breast cancer. I'm the only adult female in my family who hasn't had it, and a whole lot of the other things they had. And so as a TV investigative reporter, figuring out the truth about food and how to avoid all the suffering that I'd seen in my own family became my mission in life, and really the investigative reporting job of my life, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because I know you all came for the food, and it is going to take a little bit of time. I've got 2 recipes with some chocolate surprises at the end because Fresh Market, who donated the food for all of this, It just has an incredible selection of fair trade chocolate, and I just can't resist showing you what that is. But we're going to save that until the end. So tonight we are doing two main recipes from my third child, Paleo Vegan, which I wrote because some of my running friends about 5 years ago were going like, you know, I've been trying the paleo diet, and oh, it just works so wonderfully. And when I started reading the meat-based paleo books, it really just seemed to be like Atkins repackaged all over again, the high-protein zone, South Beach type diets. And I'm going, you know, they may work in the short term, but often at the expense of your heart and your kidneys. So I really wanted to write the vegan version of it, and I really thought we were way more vegan during Paleolithic times 1 million to 2 million years ago than we were way more gatherers than hunters. And National Geographic last September apparently agreed with me because their cover story was called The Real Paleo Diet, and it said basically that the idea that a wild boar was running through our backyard 3 times a day was ridiculous, and that we could catch it and eat it and successfully and not get sick and die. It just is a myth. And they called the current meat-based paleo books just, you know, they were a stew of misconceptions. That was their quote. And they also said, and this was really cool for a mainstream magazine to say, that a diet based on meat and dairy is not sustainable for the planet. And that's really the huge thing. And I think we're starting to see that play out in many ways. Now, even if you are not vegan, I always say try something like Meatless Mondays or a few days a week or Vegan Before 6, and that's the name of Mark Bittman, the New York Times writer. That's the name of his very popular book. Any way you can do this more, it's all good for the planet, all good for the animals, and it's oh so good for your health. I am just saying. Okay, guys, I am 62 years old, and I just don't work out very much at all except for my running. And I get plenty of energy, and you know, after the half marathon this weekend, I was a little sore, but not so much. All right, we are using a wireless microphone, high tech today. I hope you can hear me well. If you can't, please do let me know. And I'm just going to be sort of checking in with the questions that I can see on the side. If you have any questions or if you want to comment about anything, please do feel free to do so. All right. The first recipe is green soup. I know that just sounds really very descriptive, right? Well, we're going to have a lot of green. So first we are going to use a tablespoon of olive oil. And so people say really added oils were a Paleolithic relative stomping on olives and squeezing it in a bottle. No. But here's the thing. A lot of people, especially who are transitioning, need a few things to help them along. Now, there's a whole school of thought in the vegan universe that we should not be adding any processed oils or adding this to our diet. However, if it's a deal breaker, if it's what you need for taste to get you there, and you don't have any existing heart disease or other conditions that might medically suggest that you shouldn't be guzzling this, and you really shouldn't. I mean, we're just talking like a tablespoon or 2. And we're really just adding this here to this recipe to mince, to actually saute the onions. Now, you can steam flash or steam fry the onions. And here is the onion. I'm going to angle the camera so you can see it. And you don't have to use the oil. And when I lost my 25 pounds, I did the low-fat, plant-based thing, and it worked for me. And what I have found as a personal trainer is that different things work for different people. And sometimes what worked at the age of 28 may not work at the age of 58. And you really have to figure out what works for you. So just getting this peeled here, and we're going to use my handy-dandy food cutter here. And all these blades are numbered. This one is, I guess this is the number 4. And this will make fairly large, but not too large, onions, slices. And we're going to saute these in the oil for the green soup and get that going. Now, anytime Snazzy, my dog, hears this machine, he shows up, as he is here tonight. But I'm actually waiting until I start cutting the kale, because I have never seen a dog. Does anybody have a dog who likes kale stems? Let's see if anybody comments about that. And of course, even with this food cutter, I forgot to turn the water on. When you turn on water, that helps it reduces the tearing, the crying factor a little bit. So we're going in here and getting the onions out, and we're going to put these then in the pot. Ooh, boy, that is one powerful onion. And we're just going to get this going before we move on to the Brussels Sprouts Slaw. Now, most people think you shouldn't eat, or you wouldn't want to eat Brussels sprouts raw, but we're going to do that tonight. All right. We'll pop the blade, rinse it off. And if you rinse off these blades right away, then they stay nice and sharp forever. Wow. Okay, we'll turn on our skillet. Pot, I mean. All right, we'll let that get going. And for our Brussels sprouts slaw, we're going to just take the ends off of the Brussels sprouts like that. I left a few of these, and you just want to remove these little brown spots. And Brussels sprouts, you can certainly use ones that are frozen, but the fresh ones are so good. So we just cut off the bottoms. And if we see any brown spots like that, you can either just tear off the leaf or cut it out with the knife. I think I got most of these done before you arrived. But it really is worth the time. People say, oh, I don't have time to cook. And I go, well, you do not have time for breast cancer, heart disease, diabetes. Again, not that eating this way is a guarantee in life, but it certainly does help a lot in terms of staying healthy in the long run. All right, let's use this is the number 2 blade, so this will make it pretty small, not as small as the number 1, but you just put the Brussels sprout there, hold this down, and we're going to get these nice small shreds. Bet you never thought you could make slaw out of Brussels sprouts. And the scraps, of course, in an ideal world, go to the compost. Just so that you can see all this here, it is a little bit of a small quarters here, so if I bump into things, you understand why. And we just put this down over the top and keep grinding it away. You can certainly use a regular old-fashioned knife to do this. But I find that using devices like this, any kind of food processor, is just a real time saver. And especially if you are limited in time, these kinds of devices, I think, are well worth their money. And I always say, you pay the farmer or you pay the doctor, is how it goes. And even if insurance companies pay, even if Medicare pays, we all pay in the long run. And as I've been saying in my talks around the country, preventable diseases are just not sustainable, no matter who pays for it. You, me, the government, All right, I think that should be enough, at least for now. And now, while we set this aside, and I'm actually going to be putting this in a bed of romaine lettuce, which I will bring over after we make our dressing for this. So we have in this bowl some mellow miso. Now, this is, you can see this, Miso Master, non-GMO verified, la-di-da. And this is actually non-GMO verified by the non-GMO project. And you can also use the dark color. This is certified organic miso. And this also says it is non-GMO organic soybeans and koji fermented for 3 years. So Fresh Market has the dark miso. Acho is one way it is described. This actually came from another health food store, and the recipe calls for the mellow white miso, and that's why I am going to use it in this recipe, because if it's too dark, I mean, you can certainly use it. It'll just kind of make everything a little bit dark looking. So we've got our 2 tablespoons of the miso, and now we are going to grate some fresh ginger in here. So we will peel off the skin of the ginger. And we have a little grater here. You can use the food processor, but this will work too. And we'll go for a little more peeling here. Try that side. That always works. I've been doing this so long, I can kind of eyeball my servings here and know what is a tablespoon, what is a teaspoon, and if we want to multiply that a little more. And it's interesting, you know, when you just cut pieces instead of grating it, it seems like you use less of it. Just because some of the fiber of the ginger isn't actually getting grated, if you can see that. All right, give or take 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flaxseed oil and organic, and going in here. Some people like to add oil for taste. And again, if you don't have any existing diseases, some people would contend that you need some of these omega-3s and 6s in the right ratio combinations to put them in your diet to help with brain function and all that. So there are definitely, I'm just the reporter here. I just report both sides of that story. And again, a low-fat plant-based diet works for a lot of people. Some do fine just with a little bit of oil or a little bit of added fat. Okay, so we're going to do a little grated lemon zest here. Now, personally, I am not a big fan of lemon zest. Maybe, let's try to avoid the label. Yes. And if you do want to use it, knock yourself out. It's kind of an intense flavor. And if you do use lemon zest or any kind of citrus zest, try and make sure that it is organic, because if it isn't, you're really just getting all those pesticides and herbicides, if there are any. in your food. And you really want to try and avoid that. And now this says the zest of 2 lemons. That is a lot of zest. So we're just going to hold it at 1. And since, again, Fresh Market was so kind to donate all this food, we're just holding it at 1. And I think that will, we're also going to be adding the juice of 2 tablespoons of lemon. So that really does give you quite a lot of lemon. All right, the label's off. And we'll pick out a few seeds, give it a good squeeze. Oh, I forgot I have my little squeezer juicer thing here. So if you can see that, we'll hold it up not too close to the laptop because I just don't want to destroy that laptop. All right. You know, I'm so used to squeezing with my fingers. But I saw this here tonight, so I thought, well, we'll give it a try and see how well it works. And frankly, not as great as my hand. But you just can hold it over like with your hand on top of it and double squeeze it and see how fast all that juice comes out. We just kind of got through with grapefruit season here in Florida. And oh my goodness, the local grapefruits were incredible. I encourage you to eat and buy local whenever you can. And we got a few seeds in here. Get them out. All right, we'll get my fork and mash it all up to a nice dressing. And that miso, you should never cook miso because it has really great, valuable enzymes in it. And so if you cook it, cooking destroys those enzymes. And of course, we're not cooking it here. So this is going to be a nice dressing. Very orange in color, golden. All right, now we're going to bring the big old salad here. I hope you can see that. And I've put the romaine leaves strategically around the side. This really could use a few more Brussels sprouts. Yeah, why not? You can also cook those leftovers. And let's see if we can enable some more comments here. Moving my. Okay, it says, I guess we can just comment in the questions area. Yeah, okay. I think that's probably the best way to do this. So how many of you love Brussels sprouts? Let's put that out there. Just a yes if you love them. I mean, we're talking serious love. Like if you were on a deserted island and you had only one vegetable, Brussels sprouts would be it. Well, if you hate Brussels sprouts, you can just sort of answer that if you like. But if you hate Brussels sprouts, that means you have the super taster gene. And all dark green leafy vegetables might taste a little bitter to you, including Brussels sprouts. And so the way you avoid that is to add a little vinegar and balsamic vinegar and some soy sauce, and that can help neutralize the bitterness of the greens. All right, back to the salad. Now we're going to add the dressing. So we just mix it all around and get the Brussels sprouts nice and coated. You can certainly do this in another bowl before you put it in here. But just spread it out nice and evenly. And you can make more to your heart's content. And of course, time for the chef to taste it. And this is the part where I really wish I could just like give it to you. But, oh, that's nice. It could also use some hummus or tahini in this too, but oh, that's a really nice contrast with the citrus, the lemon, and the miso. Miso is so good for you. It's often used in the macrobiotic diet, and it's a naturally fermented food. In fact, let's read the back here. Miso is the result of ancient traditional craftsmanship. It is simply non-GMO organic soybeans, koji, fermented for 3 years. It is a Japanese culinary treasure and is the heartiest of all misos. Its deep, rich flavor, dark chocolate color, and mild salty taste makes it ideal for winter dishes. Use it in soups, casseroles, sauces, and noodle broths. And when my kids, they were rarely sick, but if they were a little under the weather many years ago, miso soup with ijiki, Japanese seaweed, and some green onions and tofu. That was our chicken soup. And it was just so good with all these different kinds of misos. They just make a great, rich sauce. So I would encourage you to consider doing that. All right, let's move the Brussels Sprouts Slaw away. And we'll move on to ramp up the temperature here with the onions because they really didn't get sauteed. I'm using this induction burner. Show you this here. And they're really great, except sometimes they either there's either one and the second setting. They don't. One doesn't do much, and then if you start ramping too much, you end up burning. Whatever it is here, so you can see, kind of have an eye on. All right. While that's going, grab the Napa cabbage. It's the only thing I did not get to the fridge. So we're going to use the rest calls for Napa cabbage. See, there you go. It's already sizzling quite a bit. So here is the Napa cabbage, as you can see. There's a lot of it. And some of it's dropping on the floor. But we're also going to use a little bit of just plain old green cabbage. Now, if you don't have organic cabbage, what you do is very simple. Just peel the outer leaves off. And cabbage is one of those things, if you follow the Environmental Working Group, they have the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, and usually cabbage is on the Clean 15 because you can peel off those outer leaves. So we're going to add 4 cups of water. Make sure these onions are nicely sauteed. Do you have a microphone problem? Okay, I'm told we have a microphone problem. Shall I switch? Okay. All right, we're going to switch microphones. Would you go and see, Clarence, if this is going to work? All right, stand by, everybody. We're going to just switch microphones. may be wondering, sound is. I'm going to turn the volume down here. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. We had to change computers, so I have changed computers, and hopefully this one will work. My husband tells me that the sound was not working. We tried 2 different microphones, and it looks like from my play out here, the sound is working. The only thing is I can't see the comments. Let me grab this computer back, the laptop back. The second one, the sound wasn't working, and at least I can see comments. All right, sort of a 2-camera shoot. All right. I'm just looking to see if there are any more comments. All right, let's keep going with the soup here. And I'm just going to assume that you can see me and hear me, and back to the soup. All right. So a pound of, we got the peas in, oh, the kale. Okay. So here's how you peel kale, or take the stem off. And I'm hearing the sound feedback again, so we're just going to grab it like this. And there you go. And we'll tear it in pieces. And, oh, I think what I was hearing was, since there's a 2-minute delay, that was the feedback. It doesn't make any difference. It should work whether it's plugged in or not. My husband is giving me possible remedies or observations. We don't know why the sound cut out, but whatever. And Snazzy is here. I got to show this to you. Okay, so we are just denuding the tree, as we say here in hurricane country. And so I got to show you this. Okay, so we're going to do this, pull off the stem, and Snazzy, when he hears me with the kale, watch this. Okay, sit. Oh, is that a great dog? Good dog. Yes, eat your greens. And there he goes. What a hoot. What a dog. Dogs are amazing, aren't they? All right. Okay, I'm told the sound is back. Well, sorry about that, everybody. I don't know why technology does what it does. We have 2 microphones, and one of them was a plug-in to the, both of them were USB plug-ins, and one was wireless, the other one was hardwired into the desktop, I mean into the laptop. Oh, he's back. He wants more. Snazzy dog. Snazzy. You want some more kale? I know you do. I know you do. Snazzy dog. I think he absconded with the first stem, though, because he's kind of used to us trying to take things away from him. Oh, are you back? Are you back? Okay, you got to see this. Too cute. All right. Sit. I mean, he looks like he's never been fed, right? Good dog. Oh, yes. Do you like kale? Do you love it? Oh, you sweet doggy. Okay, have you ever seen a dog snort up kale like that? I mean, just too amazing. All right. Now, of course, if I were cooking for you or doing this in like a real public setting, I would not be handling the dog. And I've done that, I guess I did that last week. And then touching the food, of course. So now all greens will definitely cook down quite a bit. All right, and the lid is here. And we'll turn this up a little bit more. Actually, I should probably press these down. And we'll get that cooking. Now, I have somewhere floating around here an immersion blender. These are amazing things. I don't know if you have one or not. This is pretty old. This is a Braun, and they have 2 settings. And I recommend using the low setting first. Now these can be a little tricky, shall we say, and hopefully I will not send green soup splattering all over the kitchen once this is cooked up a little bit. But the trick is really just to do it slowly and to keep it down on the bottom of the pot, so it really keeps it concentrated and not splattering all over. Okay, well, while we're waiting for this to cook, let's go ahead and talk about how we're doing on time. 9:30. Right. These are the Fair Trade organic chocolate bars I wanted to show you. This is Alter Eco, get it, Alter Ego, and this is a nutty toasted quinoa, and this one is a bittersweet cocoa deep fruity intensity. Now, last week I showed you a different chocolate company, the Theo company, Theo Chocolate Company out of Seattle, and this one is 60% cocoa, and this is 85% cocoa. So this one's going to be probably pretty intense. Both are vegan, and that's what we need to look for, that there are no dairy products in here. So cocoa butter, cane sugar, vanilla beans, and quinoa rice crisps. Now, quinoa rice crisps, they're putting them in a lot of things, and it gives it that very crunchy flavor. So who says you can't eat dessert first, right? And again, you want to look for fair trade. This is non-GMO, and fair trade is fairly traded right at the top here. So look for that in the labeling. That's really, really important. All right. So again, just like candy bars of old, right? But so here's the thing: chocolate is a good antioxidant. Should you be eating this as your main course? No, probably not. So, you know, 1 square, 2 squares after dinner, after lunch, you know, and call it a day. Stop there. Stop there. You must stop there. All right. Let's see how the soup is doing. Let's get that kale down in there. Now, I was talking about how this really heats up. Let's ramp it up. And point it down so you can see what I'm doing. Well, while we're talking olive oil, so this is, I have a friend who, she goes to Italy every year, and she comes back with these cans, and let's start the front here, and she says everybody in Italy uses olive oil like this, and it's in these tins, these tin cans. I don't know about you, but I don't know what's in those tins. So my comfort level, my comfort zone is probably the big dark glass bottles. And she said the reason they use the tins is because it keeps the light from damaging the oil and oxidizing it and making it go rancid. And feel free to taste your oils just a little bit, especially some of the more the less stable ones like the flaxseed that we used earlier. If you taste any bit of rancidity or bitterness, then don't use it. So the ones that we commonly find in America, the oils like this, if they're in a dark bottle, you keep it in a pantry or on a shelf in a cabinet, then you know you're probably good to go. But you probably want to replace your oils every year if you even use that much. And I really don't. Again, this is just, I use them for flavor and to try and help people make that transition to a plant-based diet. All right, let's see. I do have, just checking my comments over there. And, boy, this has taken a long time to boil. I guess the frozen peas, though I had taken them out a little earlier. Now you can certainly eat a soup that is full of texture and chunkiness, and when you use an immersion blender like we're going to do, it's going to make it all smooth and creamy. So you don't have to use one of these. It's just optional. and we'll give it a few more minutes. The other thing I'm going to do tonight is, because we have access to chocolate, is we have a double boiler. Try and move this over here. And we have, because it's still strawberry season here in Florida, we have some beautiful organic strawberries. And we are going to put the chocolate chips in a double boiler. I'll show that to you in just a minute. Move a knife here. I love these sharp ceramic knives. And also, did I mention that I love Fresh Market for donating all this food? How cool is that? You know, for years I've been trying to get somebody to donate food for my cooking classes, and they did, and I am just so pleased because I love their food too. So we are going to put, this is a really cool double boiler system here. And let's see that. And once we get through with the soup, I'll show you what we're going to do. With the chocolate chips, we've got some water in a pot. And this is why they call it a double boiler. So this little bowl, this can be used as a separate bowl, and it just rests on top here. And so we're going to put this on top of the burner, and just the steam of the water is going to melt the chocolate chips. Now you could put the chocolate chips not in this container, because this is titanium and stainless, but you could put this in another bowl and put it in the microwave and then just wait like 90 seconds until the chocolate chips kind of get shiny and glistening. Oh, now we're going. Overcook this. Let's turn the temperature. So what we're going to do is melt the chocolate once the soup gets done cooking, and then dip the chocolate, dip the strawberries into the chocolate. So it's just kind of a real fast, simple way to get dessert on the table in a hurry, and I'll show you how easy that can be. All right, let's do a little sampling of the soup. Right after chocolate pea soup. That would be my next recipe. Okay. So in goes the immersion blender. Now this is I've kind of run out of electrical outlets because the burner is plugged into an electrical outlet. So what you want to do is, and the cord is short, so I'm going to put the pot in front of me just in case it does splash, and I'm just going to make sure it is on the low setting. So you can see what it's looking like there. I think we got some kale that kind of got sucked into the bottom. And as I'm sitting here I just realized we forgot the Napa cabbage. I think that's when the sound went out. I was about ready to put in the cabbage. Let's just, and this will cook up real fast. Probably just cook from not even turning the heat on anymore. Cabbage, especially the Napa cabbage, is so thin. And Snazzy is back. He says, "Really, Mom? You don't have any more for me?" But I will a little bit later, Snazzy. All right. Well, that's just enough to wilt the cabbage. Let's see how that goes. Now, you can process it more if you like, or you can keep some texture into it. And let's see. Oh, the creaminess is wonderful, and that is a really nice soup. The sweetness of the peas is lovely. It's just so soft and just has a lovely texture and really good taste. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so we move the soup away. And let's do the double boiler thing, because I want to show you that. And we will turn the water up to boiling, and these induction burners like boil like that. That's one of the reasons I really like them. There is quite a bit of intense heat that happens pretty instantly. All right, I'm going to look to see if there are any other comments I can see on my other laptop here. Okay. Long Island, great. Okay, so a lot of you are asking about the device, the food processor. This is called a food cutter. There are several of them on the market, and this is one of 3 that I know about. And I was at the Seattle or Portland Veg Fest about 6 months ago, a year ago, whenever the last one was, and they had a booth right across from my publisher's table where I was at the whole time, and I go, wow. The first company that I knew about that made this actually donated some of them to the Cancer Project. I was a cooking instructor for them, and then when I stopped doing that because my book came out and I had to go traveling a lot, I had to give all my equipment back, and then when I saw this one at the Veg Fest, I thought, I got to have one of these. So all of this one and all the cooking stuff that you see is from this company called Antics. It's their Platinum line. And like I said, I really don't want this to be a salesy thing, but yeah, the food processor really is revolutionary. And Melanie Joy, who wrote the book, Why We Love Dogs, Wear Cows, and Eat Pigs, or something like that, I may have mentioned in the call last week, she saw this in my bag at the Tampa Veg Fest when she was here a couple of years ago. When I told her what it was, I didn't even demonstrate it, and she goes, "You have revolutionized my life." And it makes salads so easily, and that's what I love, because I eat a big salad for sure at lunch, and then almost always at dinner if I can, and it just doesn't take any time at all. So if you're interested, all 3 of these companies only sell by direct sales, and the third company, I don't even know what the name of it was, but I recently ran a big race in Tampa a few weeks ago, and you had to go to Tampa to get your registration packet at the convention center. They got all these big races now, have health fairs, and sure enough, there was somebody demonstrating one. It didn't look quite like this one. Between this and the other one I used, what I like about it is the safety catch here. The other company, whose name will remain nameless, that I used, they tried to make one of these retroactively, and it ended up getting caught in the blade and getting ground up with the food. So we as instructors were told not to use that plastic attachment. But this one is strategically placed, so you don't cut your fingers and the plastic doesn't end up in the food. It's the best of both worlds. And with no electricity. And this is so lightweight, the other thing about it. It's got suction cups on the bottom, and so it just lifts right off like that. So I can put it in my suitcase, and when I do cooking demos at Veg Fest and other places like that, and of course I get a nice note from the TSA. We've been in your bag. No kidding. What was it about the knives that concerned you? And so traveling chefs are used to that kind of thing, but hopefully TSA is used to that kind of thing now too. Okay, well this is cool. The chocolate is starting to melt, and I much prefer to melt chocolate this way than put it in a microwave. So I think this is just a little bit, I don't know, microwaves have been around forever, but I'm all about what did Mother Nature intend, what did our ancestors really do, and they probably didn't have induction burners, but they did have fire, and the induction burners work by magnets, and I don't really understand how they do that, but whatever, it works. I see, I'm looking at my other laptop, and I just see there's a little image of me down at the bottom. Some of you may be actually seeing this as a two-camera shoot, as we used to say in broadcasting. So this is sort of like watching paint dry. It's the same as watching chocolate melt, but chocolate melting is a little more interesting. You can see the water is boiling there. Now this lid will nest under the other pots here. So chocolate is really starting to melt here. Let me grab my wooden spoon or my silicone spoon. Okay, so you can see how melty that is becoming. How wonderful. Now, for those of you who have my book, Eat Vegan on $4 a day, I have a chocolate mousse recipe in there, and we melt the chocolate chips, the vegan chocolate chips, the same way. Okay, so it's getting pretty melty, and this is just so simple. So maybe let the chocolate chips melt a little more. We're just going to dip the strawberry into the chocolate, and I'm getting a nice, the steam is coming up. So you can like give yourself a nice, good, deep cleaning too. So we're just going to, let's not miss the action here, just going to dip the strawberry in the chocolate, and you take it out. Okay, a couple of chips didn't melt quite all the way, but they're getting there. So you can see how easy that is, and of course, no double dipping, so we'll have to use another strawberry. I know it's a little late for Valentine's Day, but show yourself a little love. So we're just twisting that strawberry around in there. And how easy is that? Chocolate-covered strawberries are often made with milk chocolate, and you just don't need to do that when you do it this way. So, I don't know how many more kinds of chocolate I can find at Fresh Market, but I will keep looking for you. And I think we will turn that off. You get the idea of how to do this. All right, let me just look over here and see if there are any more comments. I'm not seeing any. We are coming up on the top of the hour. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. It always is such an adventure doing these Google Hangouts. But again, I am determined to be the antithesis of the deep-fried green beans and bacon grease lady. I think we need to offer more, not only to people who are interested in what eating vegan is all about, but just for kids in particular, because growing up thinking that deep-fried green beans and bacon fat is a good thing, I just don't see that that's going to be good for the planet. You know what I'm saying? All right, everybody. Thank you so much. You can find me on vegcoach.com. That is my website. You can email me there. My books are all there. And if you're interested in any stuff, just feel free to be in touch. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fabulous week. I'm going to try and do this every Wednesday. I do travel a lot, and my travel schedule is going to pick up as the weather thaws and I go speaking to more and more Veg Fest. But I will try and do these as often as I can. So thank you for hanging out, and if I can help you in any way, let me know. All right, everybody, gotta run. Have a great night.